Hi everybody, welcome back to the Dahlia Society. My name's Kirsten and today I'm going to take you through one of my very favourite free t-shirt or top patterns. So stay tuned if you want to find out what it is. Thanks everybody for joining me. I'm glad you decided to tune back into the Dahlia Society today because I've got a fantastic free pattern to share with you. Now I know recently I have shared a free woven top pattern episode and that really got some fantastic comments. A lot of you guys have downloaded those already and you're on your way to making those. I've had a lot of people come back and say that how well they turned out. So as you know, I like to have things tried and tested before I promote downloading and putting the effort into making these tops, because look, let's face it, fabric isn't cheap, and we do like to make sure that when we are downloading a free pattern, it's going to be worth our time and energy. Now, if you're interested in anything to do with sewing, especially making your own wardrobe, don't forget to click and subscribe to my episodes. That way you'll always keep in touch and you'll know when my newest ones are released. So far for free patterns, I've done a skirt free pattern episode and a woven top free pattern episode. Now I'm on to the knit tops that I love the most. Now I've decided to do a few different episodes on these because there are so many free t-shirts and tops out there. I'm sure you guys have all looked into them before and a lot of people have done fantastic vlogs on these already. Now, anything that I know has been tried and tested by other vloggers and that I've decided not to do, but if I know they're a fantastic pattern, I will link those episodes so you guys can jump online and have a look at those as well. You might recognize this fabric. It was from my latest little fabric shop I'd done on some autumnal print jerseys. Now when I was doing my research into really fantastic free knit tops, there are actually a few that I've made already and I've had great success with, and I'll get onto those a bit later. But the one I've got on today is actually a top I hadn't made before. Now, today I'm here to talk about the Meg. Yes. Say hi to everybody, Meg. Meg wants to say hi as usual. She has to go on camera. Okay, I think you're still on the limelight now. Off you go. When I was doing my free knit top research, I actually looked into what I thought I would wear the most. And like, I don't like a really boxy, boyish type of t-shirt unless I'm using it for doing like yoga or everyday top. I like to have a little bit more shapy, and I actually had picked quite a few other tops to make first. This one was probably one of the last on my list because I just thought it looked a little bit basic and I wasn't sure whether it was too much of a fitted style, but I actually found it was probably my favorite out of all the makes that I've done in the last few days. This is the Kirsten Kimono tee by Maria of Denmark. It's been around for quite some time and you need to subscribe to the newsletter to actually get this pattern downloaded. But this pattern I absolutely loved because I like the way that they've done the shaping of it, especially because it's got negative ease on the bust and it's more loose fitting around the waist and hips. So you get that really nice shaping without it being too firm fitting. It's sort of like in between. So if you want to wear it with a pair of nice pants and you don't want that big boxy shape that's going to be too drapey or hang too low, I think this is a perfect one for that. Especially too for layering. Especially if you like to wear cardigans and you don't want too much bulk under the layers, this again is another great tee for that too. So I've made this in a rayon jersey. I'll give you guys a little look before I stand back here so you guys can see. Not sure if you guys can see it there. I've actually done it with a sleeve and I'll talk about that hack in a moment. Now, yesterday I decided to get on the t-shirt making bandwagon and I thought I want to test these out. I want to really get the fit right before I tell you guys about it. This, as I say, being my favorite one that I made yesterday, I ended up making 3 of them. They're such a quick and easy thing to make. This is the style that you'll see on the pattern envelope. It's got like a cap sleeve, like a kimono shaped cap sleeve. And then it's got this self-binding on the neck. You can either have 2 options with that. You can either use this self-binding fabric that you'll make the top out of itself, or you can use a ribbing fabric. That's really totally up to you. And that also gives you the opportunity to use a contrasting color. So if you want to use, like, you could pick up the navy, saying that, give it a little pop of color, and it comes up beautifully. Now, I loved the fact that boat neckline wasn't too high. I do like a boat neckline, but when they start sitting up too high, and it almost feels like it can be choking you, it can get a little bit uncomfortable. But I do like that nice wide neck. And I also like the fact that it's not too wide that you can't see the bra straps. So that's another thing it's a really, really well designed t-shirt. Fantastic top. I just think you guys will love this. This one is great as far as size ranges go because it comes in an extra small to 4 extra large. Now the extra small is a 31 bust, 24 waist and 33 hip. 4 extra large is a 50-inch bust, 44-inch waist and a 52-inch hip. So depending on the fabric you use as well will depend on how much stretch you're going to give your garment. So this rayon jersey has got like a 4-way stretch, and that's why it gives it such a lovely drapey effect. You could use something like a cotton, any kind of cotton jersey or anything with the lycra and spandex. So you don't need it to be really drapey. Another thing about this top, the beauty of it is you don't need much fabric at all. If you're using a 140 width fabric, you only need 1 to 1.5 meters of fabric, so that's depending on your size, of course. I bought 1 meter of fabric for the t-shirt style. That's enough to do that cap sleeve. Now with the kimono sleeve lengthening here, I actually looked on their blog and they have a hack part on their blog that shows you how to do the extended kimono sleeve, because with a kimono sleeve you're actually doing it all as one piece, so there's no separate arms to inset in there. They do give you directions on that, so it's as easy as adding about 23 centimeters. You just need to rule a straight line for your pattern and have it all as one piece, front and back, and that way you'll just stitch down the top and the bottom and you've got your sleeve. And it's not a really wide kimono sleeve either, it's quite a nice fitted one, but I just think it gives it a lovely shape, so I was really happy with doing that. But that's why you need to have the extra width of fabric, because you need to cut it out all as one piece with the arm and on the fold as well. So don't forget to look for your wider fabric and don't get stuck, otherwise you'll have to do a separate piece for the arm, which I think could be done quite easily. But the true kimono sleeve being as all one piece just gives it that lovely streamlined look. Now the way they do suggest finishing off the sleeve and the hem is with a twin needle. Now if you haven't done that before, there are a lot of tutorials online how to do that. If you don't have that a means of doing that, I'm sure a zigzag or some kind of stretch stitch would work perfectly as well. So you really don't need to use an overlocker. It's totally up to you of how you want to finish it off. I usually like to finish off with an overlocker on the internal side of things, but yeah, you definitely don't need an overlocker with this type of fabric, because in a stretch kind of fabric you don't have to worry about the frame. And on the bottom I give it that nice wide hem too, because I think it gives it a bit of stability. If you do a really narrow or a rolled hem, you can find that kind of fabric can get a bit of a wave to it. So give it a nice probably about 3 centimeter hem, and I think that will just give it that bit of weight to hold it down nicely. Some people even use like a stay tape, or they can sew that into it. That gives it a nice structure as well. But I just think that one that sits beautifully with that quite a nice sort of deep hem and the twin needle on the bottom. Yeah, really happy with the shape of that. So as I say, I'd made 3 because I really fell in love with the shape of it. The other one I had less fabric. What I decided to do was more of a cropped version of it. I did the cap sleeve in this one as well, and the same self-binding neckline. I didn't want to put any ribbing on that because sometimes that rayon spandex lightweight fabric, it can be too heavy, and then you can find it will pull it down and make it sort of drag a little bit around the neck. So I just preferred to use the same self-binding, and you use it basically like a bias binding, where you sew right sides together, flip it over on the inside, and then you stitch in the ditch with your twin stitch needle, and it just gives that really nice clean look to it. So that one I didn't have quite enough in the length, but I did have a little bit of extra width of fabric, so I decided to do a little self-binding on the bottom as well. And being a little bit shorter, I think with the binding helps it not ride up as much either, if you want to wear it with like a skirt or that type of thing. It just balances out the bottom. So there's quite a few different hacks you can do for this top. I think you could really get creative. I don't see why you couldn't even put like a flounce on the sleeve at the bottom, or a frill, or even cut off the top a bit shorter and do a gathered skirt. It would be a lovely style dress. I think it's definitely worth looking into some hacks and seeing what you can get creative and what you can come up with. The only other hack I made to this top was to add 5 centimeters to the length, because I like my tops a tad longer if they're not boxy. If they're a boxy short style, it won't matter, but being this is a bit more of a streamlined look, and I know that on the packet, on the envelope, it's a little bit shorter because she's wearing it with really tailored pants, but I knew I'd be wearing it more with jeans, that type of thing, so I wanted to have that little smidge more length. So that way I thought I could give myself that little bit deeper hem as well, to add a bit of weight. So 5 centimeters on length for me was perfect. Really an individual thing thing. Some people love their tops shorter, some people like them longer. I think it just really depends on the style, and it's great if you've got some excess fabric lying around, you want to make up a 12 first just to see the fit of the garment. I think it just really works well when you play around with a pattern and see how you can get it to fit you, and then you can add length or take length away, and you can really personalize it to be the type of thing you're looking for. Now, it's not a really roomy top. I think I made the XL in this because I could see it was quite a tapered fit, and I'm really glad I did that because I think being a form-fitting type of top, I didn't want anything pulling across the bust. Anything like a ponte or a scuba, of course, you're not going to get as much stretch. Even a cotton interlock, you're not going to get quite as much stretch as you would say with a round spandex. It's a great idea to write on the front of your downloads, if you're downloading PDFs, write exactly what you've done. If you've added length to it, write it down. If you're like me and you think that you're going to remember it and you never do, then it's a really wise idea to write down all your specifications and any adjustments you might make on the front of your pattern envelope, and that way you'll know for next time. You just straight away, I could see I'd added 5 centimeters on because I really wouldn't have remembered the next day, to be honest. So it's well worth looking into writing any adjustments down while you do them. You people in the Northern Hemisphere are probably heading into a little bit warmer weather. I know a lot of you are still lagging. The winter's probably taking forever. But if it's something that you want to start building up for your summer wardrobe, this is definitely a perfect pattern. Add a bit of length to the sleeve and you'll get yourself through more seasons. And if you're like me over here in Australia and you're starting to wean off that really hot weather, but you're getting that beautiful autumn sunshine, this is a perfect trans-seasonal piece, especially, as I say, for layering under cardigans and under jackets. So don't forget the Kirsten kimono tee from Maria of Denmark Patterns. Jump onto their website, subscribe to their newsletter, and you'll be able to get that free pattern downloaded. And also, they've got a lot of beautiful patterns on there. I've never actually looked into their patterns before, but I definitely will be from now on. Thank you so much for that, and I'll see you next time for another free t-shirt episode. Bye for now.